In a universe full of ideas, we draw lightness from the dark to a place where opposites attract. Right meets left, positive touches negative, sparking an explosion of truth. Because politics makes strange bedfellows.
That's a sweet new intro. All right. Welcome to Strange Bedfellows. Welcome, everybody. Obviously, you know me. I'm Lori Spencer, and you know Rick very well. And the idea of the show, if you didn't get a chance to catch our first 4 episodes over on the Scott Ritter channel, the idea of this show is to bring people together who would normally be on opposite sides of the political fence, who might otherwise be fighting with each other, and get them together and actually find some points of agreement. Sometimes we find when we sit down and talk to someone who we think is our enemy or our opposite, that we agree more than we disagree. So tonight, I wanted to bring in a very, very dear friend of mine. Hey, Paul.
Hey.
Folks, I want you to meet my dear friend, Paul Davies, who's right here in Oklahoma with me. And Paul is, man, what a great life story he's had. You're going to enjoy getting to know him. I should preface this conversation by saying I've known Paul for 40 years.
About probably maybe longer than that.
Probably even longer than that. 40 years is a conservative
Long time,
estimate.
yeah.
And we've been the best of friends, and we still are. And our politics sometimes takes us in completely opposite directions, but we never let that get in the way of our friendship. And Paul and I have the greatest conversations about politics and some really passionate debates. And then we hug and we're friends at the end, and it's awesome. And Paul is the, he's the precinct chair for your local Republican Party, right, Paul?
That's right. Yeah, I am.
And what's the county where you live?
It would be McClain County.
McClain County?
In Newcastle.
That's right. That's right. And he is the biggest Trump fan I've ever met. And I've known some big Trump fans, but when I tell you that Paul is a big Trump fan, we're going to show you some examples of that.
Which I have to actually get queued up here because I had all that stuff set, but because there was this gap in time, it's disappeared out of my.
I thought it might, so I just resent it to you, Rick.
Okay.
It's a Facebook video of
Perfect.
Paul's house. Now, Paul's house, folks, he lives out in the country in the town of Newcastle, which is a pretty rural area. And Paul has his whole house and his garage like dolled up with all the coolest Trump memorabilia. If you're a Trump fan out there, you would not believe the collection that this guy has. And so while Rick's trying to find it, would you tell us, Paul, a little bit about how you fell in love with Donald Trump and how long you've been supporting Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, honestly, before he ran, I thought he was an arrogant asshole. Can I say asshole?
You can say whatever you want.
I thought he was an arrogant asshole. I couldn't stand him. Personally, I couldn't stand him. Never watched The Apprentice ever. And when he announced he was running, I was like everybody else, yeah, whatever, dude. Like,
really?
Joke. And the more he talked about what he stood for, America First really rang with me. And I really resonated with it. And the more he talked, the more I liked him. And I know he's a bully, but sometimes you need a bully in there to get things done. But I just listened to him more and more, and I started liking him a lot more. And I became a super mega fan, I guess.
And that was like when he first ran and back in 2015?
2015, yeah.
Yeah. Was it automatic for you? Like when he came down the escalator and made that first speech, did he just grab you or?
No, like everyone else, I thought it was a joke. Like, Ross Perot running. Yeah, good luck. And then he started talking about things, the border and other things. And I really liked him. I liked the fact that he was not part of the inside government, that he was an outsider. I did like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about him. I should say that I supported Trump in 2016, 2015, 2016.
Yeah, I was going to say our politics were pretty much the same there for a little while.
That's right. And I liked him because he was an outsider, because he wasn't a politician, and because he was funny, and because he liked to break stuff.
Yeah.
The guy promised he was going to drain the swamp, and I said, heck yeah. And he said, I love WikiLeaks. And I said, heck yeah, because I've been a supporter of WikiLeaks since the very beginning of WikiLeaks. And I loved that, he said these things. Unfortunately, though, he lost me once he got into the White House and had Julian Assange arrested and is prosecuting him under the Espionage Act and never pardoned him, even though he was given many opportunities to do so. He lost me right off the bat when he, said that he would free the JFK files, right? He was going to release all those still classified secret files about the Kennedy assassination. And then he got a lot of pressure from the FBI and the CIA, and he backed off and he didn't do it. And he did that twice. He kicked the can down the road.
Yeah.
There were a lot of reasons why Trump lost my support while he was president.
I understand that. Yeah.
I'm sure you do. And I know you do, because we've talked about it privately.
Talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I really wanted to show everybody just how serious you are about your Trump fanboyism. Folks, this is Paul Davies' bathroom. Take a look.
I know. I was always told to pick a side, and I haven't figured it out yet. So.
Check it out. This is the coolest. Every time I go over to Paul's house, I want to use this bathroom. This is the MAGA bathroom.
This is the Trump throne room.
All you need is a golden toilet, my man.
That's right. That's all I need.
Look at that.
It's out of control.
I love it. And how long have you been putting this thing together? Has this been a project for several years?
I had the Oklahoma City Thunder up there, and they kind of made me mad. So I took all that down. And about 3 years ago, I started putting Trump up there.
Check it out. I mean, Trump everything.
Don't mind that man in the mirror.
Where do you even get like a Trump commode lid cover thing?
Amazing. Amazon is amazing. You can find just about everything on there.
Wow. You found that on Amazon?
Right.
I thought you custom made that.
No, I'm not that
And
good.
it looked like you had are those autographed pictures of Trump on the wall?
No, one was his inauguration letter. And the other one was one I made with him with his signature. The one on the left is Rush Limbaugh. That is the signature.
Yeah, I thought that was Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, it was.
And you've been a Rush fan for as long as I can remember.
Since he got on the air. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I want to go back in time to, have you been a Republican all of your life? Always been a conservative?
At first I think it was, how you're like when your dad, you're trying to be the opposite.
Yep.
He liked the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I had to like the Dallas Cowboys. He was a Democrat, so I had to be a Republican. And that kind of drove me. I used to say, we should vote for Nixon again. He'd just shut up.
You were a rebel Republican.
I was pretty much an anti-government rebel Republican. I just didn't know it.
That's right. Well, I remember back in the 80s that, of course, you supported Ronald Reagan wholeheartedly then.
Yeah. But my politics was kind of middle of the road back then. And now that I see how bad the government is, there's no middle of the road anymore, period.
That's right. That's right. And I guess that's why you're sticking with Trump, right? Because he's going to drain the swamp this time?
I know Trump, he was in, see, people talk about stuff all the time, and then they get in there and they change. And he did change a few things, but for the most part, he did what he said he was going to do. I think he got in there and he realized he was over his head. Yeah. I'm going to have to hire some of these government flunkies to know what I'm doing. And I think that's why he did that. And I think he got some bad advice on not firing who he should have fired earlier. But I just think that the anti-government thing is my thing. I just, I didn't, like I said, I didn't realize how bad the government was till he took it over. Now, that's the one thing I love about Trump. He did expose how bad it was.
Yeah, that's what I liked about him too. And I sometimes think that Trump was just kind of like some truth accidentally fell out of his mouth. Or sometimes he told more truth than his advisors
Yeah.
wanted him to tell. And I don't know if he meant to do that or if it just kind of slipped out. But sometimes Trump was remarkably honest.
He was honest to a fault. He should have. Right? There's a lot of times he'd say something, tweet something, and be like, "Oh, shut up! Don't do that. Just be quiet, and don't be arrogant." And the guy was a jerk. He was an ass, but I love him. To me, he was a great president. Like I said, everybody in Europe feared him. They didn't know what he was going to do. He was a maverick. He was a wild card, so they didn't mess with him because they had no idea. Joe Biden, they know what he is. So I think that's the big difference.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, that may be how he managed to smooth things over with North Korea. I did really like what he did with North Korea when he made the trip over there. First American president since the Korean War to actually go to the demilitarized zone, and to shake the hand of the North Korean leader.
Yeah, I think that's what he does best. He'll sit there and threaten you with whatever he threatens you, then turn around and be your friend.
After he threatened him for months on Twitter and calling him Rocket Man, and I've got a bigger rocket than you do.
It's funny, when he met him, did you know he gave him a copy of Rocket Man?
No.
The song? Yeah, he did.
The song?
Yeah. And
I love
he didn't know what it was about. He had no idea. I guess he didn't hear that Rocket Man before, but yeah. It's funny.
Kim had never heard the song Rocket Man.
Apparently, he had no idea what it's about. I don't know.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
That's funny.
Well, there was hope that, we could maybe finally have peace on the Korean Peninsula. And of course, John Bolton and Mike Pompeo and those around Trump quickly sabotaged any hopes for that after his North Korean trip.
Yeah, he had some bad advisors. I'm going to say that.
And who hired those bad advisors?
I know, but I think he had bad political advice too. I don't think he knew what he was doing when he got in there. And obviously, how would you know? You got so much to do. Pretty much, it was probably overwhelming, and he probably just did what some of his advisors told him to do. Hey, you need some insiders to know the system. You can't hire a bunch of outsiders. They don't know how to work the system.
Can't drain the swamp without hiring the swamp? Is that the logic?
Some of the swamp that you can trust. The other trust, I don't know what you can trust, though. That's the thing. Who do you trust in the swamp?
Nobody.
I don't know.
Nobody. And that was my complaint about Trump. My critique was that he put his trust in all the wrong people. I thought he was smarter than that.
Yeah. Well, I think he's pretty smart, but politically, I think he learned a lot.
He is.
And I don't know. To me, he's done 4 years. He did a great job. Best president I've known in my lifetime. To me, anyway. Low unemployment. Everything was great. COVID hit. Boom, everything went to hell. Right. And that screwed his election up. And there's like 100 Republicans trying to run now, which is good for Trump. The better for him. They'll take away the votes of everybody else. But I know him. I would vote for him again just because I know he can do the job. DeSantis, I like him, but I don't think he's ready for prime time yet.
In your precinct, I'm curious, since you talk to other Republicans, here in Oklahoma, I know this is Trump country. I would think that support for Trump's reelection is huge, but are you seeing much support for any of the other Republican candidates that are in this race so far?
No. I talked to a few people. First of all, the street I live in, there's probably 10. We live on a runway. There's probably 10 houses here. Everyone but one person is a Republican. Everyone likes Trump. So it's hard to say because I really don't talk to anybody that don't like Trump,
Right.
I'm sure there are, but this is Oklahoma in a very red district in a very red county. So it's hard to say because there's not very many Democrats here. I'm sure there are. I just don't know.
You'd have to look pretty hard to find them around here.
You really would. You'd have to turn a few stones.
Yeah. This is a very red state. And yet, when you were growing up, we were still a blue state for most of the 20th century. Yeah. Oklahoma was a strongly Democrat state back in the years of President Kennedy, of course, and in the 1960s. Oklahoma was solidly Democrat, and that all changed really started to change during the Carter administration around the midterms of 78 and then the big election of 1980 when the whole country went red. That's
pretty
when
much.
Texas and Oklahoma flipped or started to.
And I think they went more
know.
conservative, and they
Yeah.
just went more conservative as it went along.
Mhm,
I think you're
mhm.
right.
Yeah. And so I think that Trump certainly is going to win Oklahoma
Oh,
handily
yeah. I think he, yeah.
in next year's election.
I mean, did you know that Oklahoma, I could be wrong, but my facts, I believe, what I've read is that, and if it's on the internet, it's right, correct? It's not wrong.
That's right.
That
Absolutely. Every time.
Oklahoma has not, there hasn't been one blue county in Oklahoma since 2000. Every presidential election has been, every county has been red. So
All
I think
77
that's, yeah,
counties.
I think
Yeah,
that's why we're the reddest state in the union.
that's right.
Every
So
county.
I have to ask you, what are your thoughts about my guy, Robert F.
Well,
Kennedy Jr.?
I'll
I even
say
wore my shirt today so we could do battle.
I will say the guy's got some hellacious abs. He can do some push-ups.
Yeah, he's
I
got
mean,
some hellacious cojones too
I,
to say
I
the things that he's
wish, I wish
saying.
I wish I looked as good as him at his age that I do at my age right now. It's saying. I mean, I like him. I'll be honest with you. I haven't heard a lot from him because the media don't cover him. He's
Mm.
invisible. He's he's Claude Rains. He doesn't exist. But
That's right.
from what I've seen of him, I like him. I know I like his stance on shots, COVID, and his policies. The thing is, people think he's right. He's not. He was what a Democrat was 30 years ago.
That's right.
The Blue Dog Democrats. That's what he is. The Democrats have gone so left that they seem he's right, and he's not. He's still a centralist Democrat.
Hmm.
30 years ago, he would have been a moderate Democrat. So maybe left, maybe right even, but
That's right.
he'd been a normal Democrat.
Hmm. And he's not nearly as liberal as his uncle Ted
Oh
Kennedy.
no! Oh
You know,
no!
Teddy
No
was
way!
a pretty far left liberal, but Bobby, he's
Socialized, yeah.
always been more conservative. I mean, he has he's written quite a bit about Senator Barry Goldwater. He liked Goldwater a lot. He liked the Reagans a lot. You know, he is, like you said, very centrist. Definitely not
Yeah.
a far left liberal. I mean, he's
Right.
liberal on some things.
No,
But
a
yeah,
far left. Yeah, the Democrats of today would not get elected 30 years ago. There's no way
mm.
they wouldn't have.
If John F. Kennedy were here today, as I often say, he'd have to be a Republican
He would,
or a
he really would,
libertarian,
because he wouldn't have got voted in. Yeah, and
not
that's
in the
sad because
Democratic Party.
he was a great president, and that's sad.
Yeah.
That I mean, even Clinton couldn't stand the guy, but he was a good president. He was pretty good.
Mhm.
I got to say that as a Republican and a Democrat, I didn't vote for him.
Compared to
But
the
I voted for-
Democrats of today, Bill Clinton looks
He
at
was-
least sane. He didn't put across policies that were just plain crazy.
Well, at least he worked with the Republicans to get something going. It
That
wasn't.
too.
It
That
wasn't
too.
just you or me, black and white. There's no middle, which is what I hate
Yeah.
today. There's just no middle. It's funny that the independents, there's 5% of the population basically that determines the presidential election. That's it. Those independents. Democrats are going to vote Democrats. Republicans are going to vote Republican. It doesn't matter how bad the economy is and what a joke Biden is. They're still going to vote for him because he's a Democrat,
Mhm.
and that's sad.
It
You know,
is.
the days of Reagan when he won 49 states, you'll never ever see that again. I'm telling you.
No, I don't think we'll ever see a landslide like that
No.
again. Our country's just too
It's
divided.
too divided, and
Everything's too partisan now.
I think it's getting worse. I don't see it getting any better.
It
But
is
people,
astonishing, isn't it, that Democrats are going to go vote for Joe Biden
I know.
anyway, despite
As
the fact
bad
that
as
he's
he is.
visibly unwell. He's not in his
And-
right mind. He's not healthy. And they're
Yeah,
going to
Maybe the worst
not only-
president I've seen. I don't know. That's my
definitely
opinion.
the
But
worst. And I remember the Carter years. So do
yeah,
you.
I thought that was bad. Now I'm thinking I want the Carter years.
Now, yeah, the Carter years look pretty good by
We went-
comparison
We
now
went from a great economy with Trump, then we went to this.
to this.
This is a joke.
Just like that. I mean,
Just
that's why
like
they call Joe the quicker fucker
Yeah.
upper because
as soon as he got in office, he started writing 100 or so things on his desk and
Yep.
screwed everything up that Trump did. He screwed up things that Trump did just because he was a jerk because Trump did it.
that's
knowing,
all.
knowing Trump was right. He just did it to get Trump out of there.
That's right.
So
Just to undo every Trump
Right.
policy just because it was a Trump
And-
policy, even
and
though
look-
it was a
yeah.
good policy.
and look what happened.
And look what's happening at our border after
The
he got rid
border.
of Title 42. And I
Yep.
heard Trump say yesterday at his rally that he's going to bring back Title
Yeah.
42. And I'm thinking, well, how do you do that? Because that was a pandemic measure. And, you're going to have to find some new way to introduce that as
But
legislation. But
couldn't they use Title One? I mean, there's
yeah.
there's title. They could use Title One and keep them out. I don't know why they're
Mhm.
not. I don't know why it's all about Title 42.
Right. Because that
They've got means to keep them out. I mean, if they come in, arrest them, send them back. It's
it's not rocket science.
it's not that hard.
But
And
they
they're
just
trying
don't
to
have
say,
enough.
yeah,
They don't have enough personnel
no,
to process them all. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr., my guy, is the only Democrat who's gone down to the border. He's done the thing that Joe Biden wouldn't do.
I say,
He went down there
yeah,
for himself at 2:00 in the morning, Paul, a couple of weeks back. I don't know if he saw it, but he went to the border. He stayed for a couple of days, couple of nights, because, overnight in those hours between midnight and 6 a.m., that's when the cartels are really making their moves.
yeah,
So that's when you have to be there. You don't go to the border and do a quick photo op in the afternoon
right,
because there's nothing happening.
right.
So Bobby really got a good look at what's actually happening down there. And surprisingly, for a Democrat, he's going to be tough on the border. He says he wants to seal the
yeah.
border, close the border, which is further than Trump was even
Right.
willing to ever go.
I mean, even
Um,
Obama was wanting to close the border, right? I mean,
mm,
and he didn't believe in gay marriage, any of that until he flipped. So
right.
even
That's
before
right.
Obama, the Democrats were all about securing the border, and now they are not. They want people to come in. Well, we know why they want them to come in, so they'll vote Democrat. But
Yep.
the funny thing is, don't realize most Hispanics are religious, and not of them all. Most of them now are turning Republican, so it might backfire on them, actually.
I predict it will backfire.
Yeah, eventually, I think it will backfire on them.
Which might be why they're encouraging immigrants that are not from the Latin countries,
Right.
because they tend to be strongly Catholic
Yep.
and anti-abortion, and they're
Yep.
not going to vote for Democrats that are
Because
pro-abortion.
that's right.
So yeah, this time, I lived in Texas for 25 years in South Central Texas, and I know all about the border issue. It's been a huge problem for Texas now for, more than a quarter of a century. But, generally what we saw coming across our southern border were usually Mexicans
Right.
or people from the Latin American countries south of Mexico.
Right.
This time, since Joe Biden took over and sent a signal to the world that our border's wide open, everybody come on in, it's really kind of astonishing how
It is.
how the majority are not Hispanic. They're not from Mexico. They're not from
They're
Latin
from
America.
Russia, China, wherever,
Mhm.
all over.
Haiti, ton of them coming in from
Iran,
Haiti.
Iraq, yeah, Haiti,
Yeah, yeah,
all over. And
right.
and that's just the people they know about. There's
And Afghanistan, of course.
yeah. I mean, if
Afghanistan.
there's one coming through there, there's 100 more coming through
Mhm.
that they don't catch. So it's
Yeah.
out of hand. It's crazy. I mean, I became a citizen in 74. I'm from Wales.
Yeah, I forgot to
And
tell people you're actually from Wales. You're
yeah,
not a U.S. citizen.
yeah, I find most Americans that are really, to me, most patriotic are a lot of people that weren't born here.
Yeah.
But I became a citizen in 74, and it took me to get my citizen papers. I had to go through 4 years of hell because I
4
wanted to get a
years.
passport. I was
Wow.
like, why don't I just cross the border? I can do it for free.
Yeah.
Would have been
Yeah.
easier. So it's crazy. It's
Isn't it?
insane.
And that'll really make you angry if you
It
are
does.
an immigrant who came in legally
Yeah.
and you did everything the right
Well,
way, jumped through
Yep.
all the hoops, paid all the fines, went to court, did the
I
whole 9
had
yards
to
like
take
you
the
did.
test, do the allegiance, everything. Yeah.
That's right.
And now they're
That's
just
right.
letting them in, giving free phones, free housing, kicking the veterans out so they can put them in there.
Free health care.
Free health care, which most
Mhm.
Americans don't even have.
That's
They're
right.
basically getting more things than we get from the government. And
Totally.
that sucks.
Yeah, and free travel. I mean, when
Yeah.
what Bobby Kennedy said when he was at the border was he watched the process. He watched the Border Patrol, and he said, our Border Patrol is supposed to be protecting the border, but instead we've got our Border Patrol agents and our Texas Rangers having to process. They're basically doing administrative tasks.
Right.
They're processing the immigrant when they come across. They get them. They get a phone and they say, do you know anybody in the United States? if the migrant says, yes, I know so-and-so, the Border Patrol will call that individual. And if they can get them on the phone and say, will you give this person a home until their court date comes up? If the person says yes, then the Border Patrol buys them a airline ticket or a bus ticket to go wherever that person is who's going to be sponsoring them, basically, and say, okay, I'm going to Chicago because I've got a friend in Chicago. And that's all it takes is one phone call to your friend in whatever city. And you're in like Flynn, and your court date isn't for 7 years.
Yeah, if I broke the law, I'd be in
7
jail.
years.
I'm just saying.
No
I broke the law,
kidding.
I'd be in jail, prisons.
Yeah.
They're breaking the law and they're just giving them stuff free. I mean, is that what it takes?
Yeah, literally. Here's a free airplane ticket. Here's
Yeah.
free health care. Here's some,
Here's
food
some spending
stamps.
money. Here's some
Here's some spending
casino
money.
chips. Go for it. So yeah, it's insane.
It's lawlessness, absolute lawlessness.
What they need to do is finish that wall all the way down and then put crocodiles in the Rio Grande. And that'll stop a lot of this.
Well, we got a lot of snakes down there.
Yeah,
in the
I mean,
but
I
those
don't want
seem
nobody
to
hurt.
deter
I mean,
anybody.
I don't want nobody hurt. I understand. If I was down there, I'd want to do the same thing. I don't blame them. I blame
Hell,
the
I'm
government.
even more hardcore than that, Paul.
Yeah, really.
I'd put troops on the border.
Yeah, well, I
I've
believe
been saying that for years.
right. I think we should. I'm just saying I understand why they want to come here, but just because they want to come here doesn't mean they should come here.
Yeah, and every politician is afraid to be that hardcore and actually
Right.
put troops on the border.
Yep.
Governor Abbott won't. I mean, he has sent some National Guard to the border, but they don't have any shooting orders. And I'm not saying anybody ought to get shot. I'm just saying.
It's kind of like when I
that
was
one shot in the air, one warning shot in the air would send those migrants scattering back the other direction.
It's kind of like
All
when
it takes is
was
one warning shot to
one,
say
and now it
no
takes.
more of this.
It's kind of like when I was in England. I was security police, in the Air Force, and we guarded some nukes, and we were actually told you can shoot somebody, but make sure they're not a British national. So, are you? Yeah, I'm serious. That's what we were told. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I believe
Hey,
it.
sorry, where are you from? Let me talk to me so I can listen to your accent. Oh, you're British. Go, get into the nukes. It's crazy. It's insane.
I wanted to jump in for a second
Please
because
do.
Hey,
I
Rick.
was producing in the background there, and actually I had an apple. But I want to know, can you do the Trump dance?
No.
Can't
Ain't
do
nobody wants. There's two things you never want to see me in. That's the Trump dance or a Speedo. Trust me, neither one of them. Mm-mm.
I've seen you in a lot worse than a
I know you
Speedo, Paul.
have. I know you have. I know you have.
I should probably take this opportunity to share a personal story about Paul and I's long friendship. You'd never believe where we met.
Mm-hmm. Rocky Horror Picture Show, baby.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show is where we first met.
Yep. Good times.
Let's do the time warp again.
And look at me now.
Yeah. So this is a true story. Back in the 1970s, Paul, who's a little older than me, was in the cast of our local Rocky Horror Picture Show. On Saturday nights when they run Rocky Horror Picture Show, if you've ever been, there's a cast that's kind of acting out the movie in front of the screen, and they play the different characters and wear their costumes. And for many years, Paul Davies played Brad. Brad and Janet, the wholesome, clean-cut couple. Everyone calls him asshole. Paul was our Brad, and I was our Janet. I played, and everyone called me the bitch.
Right.
He's the asshole,
and you're the bitch. So I still wear that with honor. Tommy, shout out to Tommy. He's my other asshole I love. So he did it after me. Awesome. Shout out to Mitch and Tommy. They were great. But I mean, I still am friends with almost everybody there. It's something, we had such a connection. You just don't lose that friendship.
It is amazing, isn't it? I mean,
and it doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't matter your political views. We're always going to be friends.
That's the point, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show tonight, Paul. Is we grew up in a very tight knit circle of friends that stayed friends for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And here we still are, still the best of friends. We have reunions every 10 years or so where we
Yeah.
get the old gang back together, the Rocky Horror Gang. There's a Facebook group where they stay in touch with each other, even though some have scattered all over the country and other parts of the world. But and back then nobody asked what your politics was.
No, it wasn't.
Nobody cared.
No, I didn't know till just a few years ago Mitch's politics. You just didn't
Yeah.
know.
Knew
And
the
the
guy
reason-
for
yeah.
40 years, never knew
And
his
no
name,
idea. And
never even came up in conversation.
until I started wearing this stuff, most people probably didn't know what I was. I'm sure they knew.
Mhm.
I'm not going to lie. They knew I was a conservative, but
You
like
weren't always the political animal, even back then, like I
No,
was,
yeah.
which is why we were such good friends, because
yeah,
we both had such an interest in politics.
yeah, we
You know?
did. It's like Johnny Carson. You didn't know where he stood. You didn't know,
Yeah,
and that's what
yeah,
it should be about. I
I
mean,
agree.
I obviously don't fit that mold, but just
Mm.
because you're a Democrat don't mean I hate you. To love
Right,
you, it don't matter. It's
right.
what's inside, not the red or blue. Doesn't make any difference. You're not evil because you're red. You're not libtard because you're blue. There's in betweens. Like you're not a libtard. I love you.
I'm pretty reasonable for a
Yeah,
Democrat.
yeah.
And
You are.
I was a libertarian for 27
I
years now.
know you were.
When we first met back in the 80s, you were a Reagan Republican and I was a Ted Kennedy Democrat. I was
Right.
a Democrat then. I called myself a Kennedy Democrat because I loved JFK and RFK and I liked Senator Ted Kennedy's liberal policies. I was pretty liberal.
Yeah.
But in fact, I was very, very liberal back then. But we grow, we mature, and sometimes our views change. And as I
Yeah.
got
It does.
older, I became more conservative. I started
Yeah.
drifting more towards the right and the center. And of course, I left the Democratic Party in 1996. Actually, I left around 93 because of the Clintons. They ran me out of the Democratic Party. I thought they ruined everything that us Kennedy Democrats and old
Right.
school liberals believed in. I thought they ruined it.
They did.
So I left, and then I found the Libertarian Party where I stayed for 27 years, and only this year am I going to go change my voter registration back to Democrat for the first time in
What am I going to
30
do with you,
years.
Lori? What am I going to do
I'm
with
gonna
you?
vote for a
Oh,
Democrat.
no.
I know.
Well,
I
it's okay as
can't
long as
believe
it's
it.
not Biden. I respect that.
Definitely never, ever, ever
You
would
vote
I
for
vote for
you
Joe
vote for
Biden.
Kennedy, I'm behind you. That's fine.
Oh,
But
thank you.
Biden, hell no.
No, I'm not going to vote for
No,
that
I
guy.
know.
In 2020, I voted for the Libertarian nominee, Jo Jorgensen.
It-
She's a great lady.
And I'm mad at
Yeah.
you, libertarians. The last election, if you'd all vote Republican like you should have, Trump would have won. Even though there was a lot of crap going on. If you take the percentage that voted
you're right.
Republican, he would have won.
That would have
So-
made the difference.
So
Yeah.
y'all and you guys and
Mm.
your just have to vote libertarian because it's I don't know.
We're
I
stubborn.
think you're stubborn.
We're stubborn.
You shouldn't be so stubborn. My son-in-law, he's a libertarian. I'm like, dude, you're just gonna stop the Republicans from getting in office. You're gonna vote in a Democrat, and that's kind of what he did last time, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately,
way,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm glad you vote your conscience, but at the same time, you got to think of the country too. I think you know
that's
what I'm saying?
true. I mean, that percentage of voters in the 2020 election who voted third
Yep,
party
because I looked it up.
or
Because your
libertarian.
conscience voted in Biden.
Ouch.
I'm saying
That
that
means
hurts. I know.
we are responsible for Joe Biden.
Hey, I'm responsible. I'm responsible for Clinton. I voted for Perot twice, so
Oh, good for you.
that's on me too. That's on
Yeah,
me
you
too.
did. And I often say you're smarter than me because if there's one regret that I have in my whole political life, it was voting for Bill Clinton in 1992 instead of Ross Perot because I liked Perot. I really did. And
Yeah,
I fell for that lesser of two evils argument that
me too.
Bush was worse. And so I voted for Clinton and now I regret it.
See, that was the worst.
To
To me,
just have a
I didn't want
do-over.
to. Yeah, I didn't want to vote for Bush. I liked him, but I think
Yeah.
he was kind of loose and sense of what the job was, and so I wasn't going to vote for him again. But I sure wouldn't go for Clinton. So I went with the lesser of two evils like you did, and that was Perot, and it got Clinton elected.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Perot was great, and I'm
He
still
was.
kicking myself all these years later
Well,
that I lost that opportunity
the
to
first one, but
change
when he ran
history.
again in 4 more years, Sergeant Schreiner as his VP, he
That's
lost
right.
me. He's like, "Okay, you're way out there now. You're just too out there." And so, yeah, I did vote him the first time, so I
And
did
the
like him.
media really did, don't you think, Paul, tried to demonize Perot as a crazy
Oh,
guy?
yeah.
You
Because
know,
he talked really fast and, he had that loud voice, and
then you had Dana
yeah,
Carvey playing him on
yeah,
Saturday Night
right, and
Live,
he
and
had that crazy kinda look. I get that, but the guy
yeah,
wasn't a
yeah.
politician. That's like Clinton. He wasn't a politician. He was more about the money and, that stuff. So,
Mm.
I guess kinda why I voted for him too.
He was slick,
He
Slick Willie.
was. Yep.
you know and he fooled a lot of Democrats, just like my generation, Gen X. Bill Clinton was our cool Democrat, the guy
The
who played the
sax player,
saxophone
yeah,
with the shades
the
and
cool dude,
maybe he inhaled back in college,
and the cigars and all that
and the
good stuff.
cigars and the ladies
And the blue dress.
yeah, that came later.
Hey, you gotta be a cool president to do all that, right? I mean, isn't that the
But
way it
yeah,
works?
I guess younger people would relate to that with Barack
Yeah,
Obama, where Obama was the cool guy that came along, the cool Democrat. But both of them were traitorous
to their
pieces.
party,
Yeah, they were
yes.
traitorous to their country, certainly traitorous, I think, to the ideals of the Democratic Party. And that's why I'm so excited that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has jumped in this race. I think I told you this story, Paul, but I tried to draft Bobby Kennedy to run back in 2007. I wanted him to run in the 2008 election because things were so horrible after 8 years of Bush.
Mhm.
In 2008, I felt like Bobby Kennedy could save the country. And so I got involved with a draft Kennedy campaign. And I met with Bobby several times during that year, trying to convince him to get in the race. Ultimately, he said no because his kids were still young. He's got 6 children and he had several of them still at home. And considering how he lost his father so tragically to an assassin's bullet in 1968. And he comes from a family of 11 kids, and they all grew up without their dad.
Right,
So when he told me he wanted to wait until his kids were grown and then make that decision whether or not to enter politics, I totally respected that. It only made me respect him and like
right.
him more
I mean, I
than I
like the
already
guy,
did.
yeah.
I like that he did
I
that.
mean, there's nothing I've seen of him that I dislike. I mean,
Really.
honestly, he's probably a Democrat I would vote for.
I've heard a lot of my MAGA friends say that here
But
lately.
I tell you, we've talked about this, but the dream ticket, Trump and Kennedy. But
Mm.
and you said you don't think a Republican and a Democrat would be on the same ticket, but I don't think it's in the Constitution. I don't know why they wouldn't be
You're
able.
absolutely correct. The
So
Constitution says nothing about political parties, and when you read the Federalist Papers, our founders really warned us against political parties because of stuff like this, that
exactly,
it polarizes the country. They were afraid that it could lead to a civil war,
right,
which it did. And it could happen again, I'm afraid, with this kind of division. And that's why Kennedy's running on a platform. I mean, his slogan is literally heal the divide.
right.
He wants
I
to
don't know if
bring
he
the
would.
country
Right.
together.
I mean, I don't know if he would take the VP. I think he might, and I think they're both talking really good about each other. Trump's likes him,
They
he likes Trump,
are.
and
Yeah.
I think it's. And I'm not
How
a
about that?
political analyst, but personally, I
Uh-huh.
think Trump's thinking, well, first of all, if I put him up, it makes Biden look stupid. It makes him look worse. I think that's one of them.
Yeah,
And I think this
there's that.
consideration of maybe being on the same ticket might be in the future, and maybe they've talked about it. I don't know. They probably haven't, but maybe they're considering it, and maybe that's
Mm.
why they're talking each other up. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess.
That was really surprising to me, Paul. It's interesting how Trump said nothing about Kennedy for like the first 2 months. Kennedy's been in the race since April. And I kept waiting for Trump to come up with a insulting nickname for him or make fun of the way he talks or, like Trump does. But Trump said nothing, not a single word, didn't tweet about him, didn't truth about him, didn't say anything until just this past week. And then Trump, like 3 different times, had high praise for Bobby Kennedy, called him a smart guy. Said they'd been friends for a long time, which is somewhat true,
Yeah.
not entirely true,
Right.
because Bobby has sued Trump on several occasions over. This was back in New York City over
Who hasn't sued Trump
developments.
though, really?
Yeah, it was they were environmental lawsuits.
Right.
You know, Bobby is trying to
Yeah.
clean up the Hudson River there in New York, and he was suing Trump, I believe, over a development, a property that he had that might
Kind
pollute
of
the Hudson.
Ralph Nader type stuff. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think that was anything personal between them. It was just business, you know.
Yeah,
Bobby's
I
in the
mean,
business of suing big developers who
right.
pollute waterways. But I
And,
think they
Trump's
settled
used to
that
that.
amicably,
Yeah.
and they've visited many times. He's been down to Mar-a-Lago to visit Trump as a guest, you know, as a friend over the years. So,
Well, he's not a threat to Trump, so why would he? I mean,
yeah,
he only does it to people that are a threat to him. DeSantis, most of the Republicans in race, he's not going to say anything bad. They're not a threat. They're never going to even come close.
yeah,
So they're not a threat. So it's like, why would I bother?
right. And he's not
And
running against him as a
he's not running
Republican.
against him, and putting him up will only make him look better against Biden.
Great points.
And
Great
so
point.
I think if he became the Democratic nominee, I think then you would see the insults, but until then, he's not a threat.
That's right.
And I don't understand the
Yeah.
Democrats. If they would put Kennedy up, I will guarantee you they'd win. I guarantee. And why they want to put
Yes.
Biden up, I don't get it. Why are they
Right.
stuck in that old fart? I don't get it.
You'd think that they
Yeah.
want another. They do the Democrats want Trump back again?
I
Because
think what they want is a puppet. I think Obama is probably still running the show, or somebody else is.
yeah,
He sure isn't doing it. And I think they like him there because they can control what he does. He doesn't have his own mind. I think he's all about taking money from China, so it doesn't really matter. Politically, he does whatever he thinks is good for his politics. I just think he's not running the show, and I think they like him in there because he isn't running the show.
precisely.
And like Trump, if Kennedy gets in there, he'd be a handful for the Democrats, and I don't think they could handle him. And I think that's why.
And the deep state.
And the deep state.
I mean, the deep state, I swear, Paul, they hate Kennedy more than they hate Trump.
That's why Trump Kennedy would be an awesome ticket.
Yeah.
It really would.
Yeah.
It would be a great ticket.
Now there's a strange Bedfellows moment. We got a Trump, the MAGA man and the Kennedy Democrat agree that we would both be happy with a Trump Kennedy unity ticket.
Yeah, and
You
that
know,
would
my
give.
question
Yeah.
is though, how the heck do we make that happen? If that is assuming that Bobby Kennedy and Trump would consider that. Or
Well, the
want to
last
do
time
it.
I talked to Trump, no, I'm just kidding. I always. I mean, I don't know.
How do you get it past the
I
party?
think it's got to be in their minds. It's got to be the party. Screw the
yeah.
party. I mean, first
They-
of all, they
Think they ought to
nominate
go independent?
nominate Trump or whoever as the nominee for the party. Or no, I guess they picked the vice president first. But whoever's the nominee, I don't think the vice president really makes that much difference. I don't think they're going to fight it as long as they got the top dog because he's just a vice president.
Right.
But I don't think they would fight it. If they thought they could win the White House, I think they'd be, yeah, let's do this. And I think that would take a lot of people that don't want to vote for Biden, who are Democrats, make them switch just because, well, I don't want to vote for Biden, but I don't want to vote for Trump. So, hey, he's on the ticket. I'll do that.
Yeah, and they
it's a
wouldn't even have to
win-win.
switch their registration for the general election.
Yep.
If you're talking about a general election fight. I mean, here's the thing. Because of the stupid political party rules in
It's
both
dumb.
the
It's
Democratic
dumb. I
and
know.
the Republican Party, they will not allow a unity ticket. They have, you can't have somebody of another party on the ticket. The convention won't nominate
Okay.
them unless,
So let's
like
say,
you suggested, they
right.
change the rules at the convention next year.
Let's
And
say
the Democrats, I think,
Mhm.
I think the Democrats have their convention in July, right? And then the
in Chicago,
Republicans have their convention in August.
I believe
So
so.
Kennedy would have some time, like if he loses the Democratic nomination in
Which he
Chicago,
will. I mean, we
which he
know it.
will, I think we can safely say they're
They
going
won't
to
even
screw
debate
him.
with him, so he will.
Right. I mean, the fix is in.
It's in big
Yeah.
time. And I don't know. I think, and Trump runs the Republican Party. I don't give a crap who you are. If he was a nomination, if he wanted Kennedy to be his VP, I don't think he'd be like, no, screw you. He's going to be my VP. If you don't like it, go to hell. And I think he would tell the Republican Party what to do. I
He
think.
could.
Yeah.
He could.
He's like, if she's not my VP, as I already picked, then he's going to be my VP. What are you going to do about it? Sue me. He'd probably sue them.
That would be delicious.
It wouldn't it? It would be.
Oh, it'd be great. And it's not that hard. I mean, all they'd have to do is just amend the party rules at the convention, so that they
Yeah.
would allow either that or Kennedy would literally have to just switch parties. He'd have to
Which I
become a
don't think that would
Republican.
be a good idea, just because he would lose a lot of Democrats, I think, if he did that.
That's right.
So
That's
that's not
right.
if he went Republican, I don't think it would make a lot of difference. So he needs to
Yeah.
stay a Democrat.
I love the idea of a unity ticket. That's something I think our country needs.
Yeah.
And it's been impossible until now to even have this conversation because of the hatred between Republicans and Democrats. You could never find a Republican and a Democrat who'd get along well
Yeah.
enough or agree on anything
I mean, at
to
first
even
I thought
consider a unity ticket.
a great ticket would have been Trump Tulsi,
Oh, yeah.
Democrat and a Republican. If that was
Yeah.
my dream ticket first,
Mm-hmm.
because she's getting to be anti-Democrat, so they don't like her so much anymore.
Yep. She left.
Kennedy has a history. He's got some good history behind him. He's not conservative, but he's sure not liberal. And
Right.
he's kind of in the middle. I think he makes everybody happy, and I think he'll kind of tone down Bush's rhetoric a little bit. I think the VP that we had, I think he was too mellow, too
Mike
quiet.
Pence.
Yeah, he was too
Yeah.
quiet. He was like, get excited about something, dude. Raise your voice about something. Get mad, get angry or something. He was too mellow. He didn't really get mad about nothing.
I thought that's why Trump picked him, because Trump doesn't like anybody competing with him. He didn't want a vice president stealing his thunder or his spotlight. And I wonder sometimes if Kennedy would not be a good match for Trump because, Kennedy can't shut up. He's not going to be that Mike Pence quiet, out of the way vice president. He
Oh, I'm
would be a
sure
very,
I'm sure they'll
very
come to
loud
terms.
vice
Yeah,
president.
I'm sure they'd come to terms like, yeah, I'm your boss. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about this. You're not going to talk about that. And I'm sure they would kind of go over that. And Trump would know that he's only got one more term left.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter if
He could have two.
Kennedy,
If he stays in good health. I mean, constitutionally, he'd be entitled to 2 terms now.
Trump?
Yeah.
I thought you could only serve 2 and that's it.
You can only serve 2 consecutive terms.
Oh,
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Well,
he'd actually be entitled to 2 terms
he'd
if
be
he can win it.
120, but
But he'd be
whatever.
old. He'd be really old.
I think he might get tired of the job by then.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm okay with that idea of a vice president. And Kennedy is, I think, 10 years younger than Trump and Biden. So, by the time Trump finished up his 4 years, if Kennedy was his vice president, Kennedy would be what, 73?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too old.
Yeah, we were
And-
talking earlier, and like the way they're trying to get Trump in prison. It would be funny if for some reason, it won't happen, but if for some reason they managed to put him in jail and he still won the election to president, blow the Democrats' mind. They would lose their ever freaking mind, wouldn't they? They would go nuts. The people that promised they would leave this time.
Oh, yeah.
They would lose it. It would be hilarious.
Suddenly we'd be minting a lot of new Canadians
Yeah.
overnight. Then the crush would be at the northern border of all the Americans
Yeah.
flooding into Canada trying to get
Well,
out
they're
away
having
from
problems
Trump.
with Canada right now at the border. There's people coming
Yeah,
through
they
Canada
are.
because it's easier to come through
Mhm.
Canada and Mexico. So they're not having problems at the north.
Yep.
So both
True
sides.
story.
So the problem they're doing on the south is bleeding in from Canada now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Stupid.
Well, I wanted to ask you about, this is supposed to be a debate. We're not supposed to agree on everything.
Okay.
buddy.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You're dead wrong.
No, you're wrong.
Libertarian, you're wrong. You cost me the vote.
So of all the stuff that Trump did as president, was there anything that you didn't like? Did he ever let you down?
Well, it's hard to say. But I think the vaccine thing, but he didn't know any better. He was trying to get the vaccine out because he thought it would cure it, it would stop it. And I don't think he knew how bad that vaccine was going to be. I think he rushed it through. I think they should have had more testing. And I think that was one of his biggest mistakes was the vaccine. Even though,
Absolutely.
ironically, they didn't announce that they were going to release it till after he left,
Mhm.
till after he, so it's
Yeah.
just after the election.
I
And
guess that turned out to be a blessing for him
I
because,
think so. Hey, it
you
wasn't
know,
me.
the
Yeah,
vaccine didn't work out so well. If he was still the president,
right.
he wouldn't be able to call that a win,
So now it's
and
on
yet he
Biden.
still does out there on the campaign
Yeah.
trail. He's not backed up off the vaccine. He still says he's proud of Operation Warp Speed, and he
But he,
believes that the vaccine is
right.
safe and effective and has saved many, many, many lives.
But at the same time, he also says it's your choice. Do what you want to do. Where Biden's like, you need to get the shot, or we're going to
True.
fire you. That's it.
Yeah.
Fire you.
Yeah. Trump
I
never would have
mean, no.
mandated it. Yeah.
He's like, I like, because he was the operator, not the operator, but he was the one that started the shot, and I think he's proud of that. But at the same time, I don't know. It's just a mess. The whole thing is a mess, and I don't think he would ever mandate anything like that.
What did you think of the lockdowns back in March of 2020? That was on his
Oh,
watch,
you look back now, and at the time it seemed real. You look back now, and you're like, oh my God, we let the government do that crap to us. Are you
Right.
freaking serious? We actually followed what they were telling us to do. You can't catch it at Walmart, but you can catch it at a little mom and pop shop.
That's it.
But at a bar, you can open your bar till 9 and close at 9 because you can't catch it after 9. Stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And we
Just
did it.
dumb.
Like sheep, we followed it. And that just shows how ignorant and how the Americans can just follow you regardless, don't know any better. And that's why stupid people keep getting elected.
That's right. And I'm not saying that Trump is dumb. He's a very smart man, but this is where Kennedy hits him hard when he does criticize Trump. He mainly, he goes after him on warp speed for rushing the vaccines, but
Well,
he
I think he's right
also,
on that, though.
and I think he's right, and he also goes after Trump on the lockdowns because, even though Trump was getting bad advice and he was putting his trust in the wrong people like Dr. Anthony Fauci,
Oh, God, don't bring him up.
and I can look at, I've tried to put myself in Trump's shoes to look at this charitably because I would not want to be the president during a crisis like that. Yet it's the times of crisis that define a president, that
Yes.
separate a good president from a bad one, and Trump made the worst decision possible based on the
Bad
advice of
information,
the
right.
experts.
Fauci.
And he trusted Fauci because in Trump's mind, he's probably thinking, well, this guy's been at
Here
NIH
forever,
since
yeah.
1984.
Since
Probably knows
1884,
what
maybe.
since 1884. He probably knows what he's doing. So
Yeah.
I'm going
Who
to
knew?
trust that his advice is good. And so
Who
he
knew
did what
what he
Fauci
was doing
said,
behind closed doors? You never know.
and you never
Yeah.
know what was really
And
going
I,
on. And of course, they keep a lot of things from the president. Certainly, the deep state, their
yeah,
machinations. A lot of the time, presidents don't even know what their own
right.
CIA is up to.
Undeniable plausibility, right?
That's right. That's right.
And I honestly, I think Trump was really trying to get that vaccine out so he could be a hero. Look what I
Mhm.
did. I made the
Right.
shot. It got rid of the virus. Boom, we're fine. And it turned out to be the virus was actually worse than the virus itself. Well,
Mm.
not always, but a lot of the
For
times.
some, right?
I didn't get the vax. You didn't, did you?
No.
And no, you got it really early. But
Yeah,
both.
I have long COVID, so I could not get vaccinated. I've got like myocarditis, and my doctor told me I wouldn't do that because it's only going to make your inflammation around your heart worse.
Yeah,
So that's why I didn't.
yeah. And
I didn't feel
Yeah,
safe taking the vaccine.
I didn't get it, and I was in the hospital for 2 months with COVID, and I still got
Oh,
long COVID. I'm still coughing. It's awful, and I've got depression. I didn't know that was a COVID symptom, but it is depression.
it
When I
is.
was in the hospital before I left home, I was like, man, I don't want to leave here. Just take me. And I don't know why I felt like that. I just got so
Mm.
depressed.
Let me back up a little bit and bring our audience into the story because you and I know this one, but the
They don't.
audience doesn't. Now they know about my long COVID. I've told my story on the show how I got COVID very early in the pandemic, like in January of 2020. I got that first really strong wave that came out of Wuhan that was just
Yeah,
knocking
and
down young,
nobody really
healthy
knew what to
people.
do. Yeah,
Nobody knew what it was, and back then it would it would get you and kill you even if you didn't have pre-existing conditions. It was at its full strength,
It was
right?
bad, yeah.
And it was bad, bad, bad. And so it got in my lungs and it gave me pneumonia and I thought I was going to die and I ended up in the
know.
hospital. And anyway,
Thank God
so
thank God you're here. That's all I'm
I'm
gonna
still
say.
alive, Paul.
Thank God, I'm so glad.
So are you. You and I are two miracles walking around today because we should both be dead.
Yeah,
We both had a really terrible bout with COVID that
yeah.
damn
I
near
mean,
killed us both. And we're otherwise healthy people for our age.
yeah,
We didn't have pre-existing
no,
conditions.
I didn't.
But
I mean,
COVID just damn near killed us. So
yeah,
tell us your story because you were actually on a ventilator for
yeah,
what,
for 3
43
weeks.
days?
Well, I went in December
Three-
22nd of 2021,
Yeah.
2021 at the VA hospital,
You got the
which people are going,
Delta wave, I think.
yeah, it was Delta, and people are going, "Don't go to the VA, they'll kill you." No, the VA, they're not what they used to be. They're pretty good now. Anyway, there on Christmas Day, they innervated.
I remember.
Right,
That was
they
the
entered
worst
me,
Christmas, man. I was
and
praying for you.
I had double pneumonia.
Mm,
I had sepsis. I had a
mm.
clot in my leg, and they were telling everybody, "We're probably gonna make it." And everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're not gonna make it." People that
I
like me
remember.
anyway.
Oh,
People
we
were,
loved you.
yeah, and people were just, and I came out of it, and I didn't know where I was. I remember being in the emergency room. I, I was half awake and half something else. I don't know if it was real or not, but I remember a nurse coming up to me with a mask on, and she said, "You know you've got COVID." I said, "Bullshit, I don't have COVID. Let me out of here. I don't know why I was there, but I don't have COVID." And I said, "Get my wife on the phone and I'll tell you right now." And I got her on the phone and she said, "Yeah, you've got COVID." I said, "Damn, I feel bad now for laying it at the nurse." But yeah, I had no idea.
You
It
didn't
was,
believe the nurse,
nope.
but you believed your wife when she told you you had COVID.
Yeah, well, I think I was more in
It's
my
funny.
mind then, but yeah, I was kind
That's
of off
funny.
and on. So it's weird. And I spent a month in rehabilitation. It's kind of weird after 2 or 3 weeks not walking, how you can
Right.
just learn everything. I couldn't
It's like
walk.
learning to walk
Couldn't
again.
do anything. I couldn't talk
Yeah.
I couldn't talk. It's so weird.
And
It's
to
so
this
weird.
day, you still can't talk much without
No,
coughing,
right.
just like me. It's like the COVID cough when you got long COVID, it never goes away.
I mean, it's kind of funny how frail the human body is, but at the same time, how
Yeah.
strong it actually is and how much it can overcome. So it can go either
Amen.
way.
That's right. I mean, you amaze me, Paul, how you recovered from all of that remarkably quickly, and for the most part, you're able to do your daily tasks. I know you're not back to work yet,
Well, I am.
full steam.
I was on the phones, customer service, and I was off for so long. With my doctor would give me no, get off for 2 weeks. Can't be on for 2 weeks or 2 months, 2 months at a time. And after
Mm,
about a year, they say, "Hey, this is not going to work out." And they were like, "So here's a note for your doctor. Give us an honest answer how long you're going to be sick." And I went to my VA doctor. He put down 12 months or more. And they're like, "Okay, we're just going to have to find you another job." And thank God, because didn't like that. I hate being on the phones, but they found me a good job in billing, back office, great people, great boss.
mm,
And I love it now. I think I got a good job. I like it. I was ready to quit
yeah.
because I couldn't stand being on those phones anymore. But so
And it's so
it kind of
hard
worked
when you
out for
can't
me.
talk. You don't have enough air in your lungs, and you're coughing all the
Coughing all the
time,
time. I know.
and nobody on the other side of the phone wants to listen to you
Right.
coughing. So,
That's what I told them.
you
If you're
know.
gonna put me on the phones, they're not gonna like me because that's what I'll be coughing at them. And
Well, it's
it's
one of
not gonna
those
work.
things, and you probably get this a lot, and I sure do. People still don't understand long COVID, and you tell someone, I've got long COVID, and the first question they ask is, oh, you shouldn't have taken the vaccine. Are you vaccinated?
Right.
People think that you get long COVID only from the vaccine, and that's not true. Long COVID, for the most part,
Right. I never had the
comes from the
vaccine.
virus itself, and it's the spike protein from the virus that's stuck in our bodies, and that's why we haven't gotten well, because it's still
Right.
in there wreaking havoc in our system.
And
Now,
I
there
mean,
are people who have long COVID like symptoms. Their symptoms match who are also vaccine injured and they've never had COVID, and
yeah,
they have the same symptoms we do, which is really interesting.
yeah,
Dr. Robert Malone's theory is that, again, that's the spike protein that's causing these problems in our immune system and causing all of this inflammation throughout our bodies, can cause the clotting. And of
Right.
course, because you had clots when you were in the hospital.
hmm
Same thing happens to people who got the infection naturally. I'm also prone to blood clots now, and that's why every few minutes I have to get up and stretch my legs and
Yeah.
keep moving so that I don't get a blood clot in my legs or to my
Yeah.
lungs.
Even in the
So
VA, even in the ICU, they were trying to give me the shot. I'm like, what are you doing? I've got a better immune system than that shot's going to give me.
that's
And they were
right.
like, you need to take the shot. Why? Why would I want to take the shot? What are you trying to push this on
They
me
were
for? It's
trying to
crazy.
vaccinate you in the
They were
hospital?
they weren't trying to vaccinate, but they were trying to talk me into getting it.
Oh
And I was
boy.
like, you're crazy. No. You know,
No,
they're
no,
like, I
not
would
now.
advise you to get the shot. I'm like, no, I didn't get the shot. I went through all this. You think I'm going to take it now?
Right?
I didn't want it
It's
before.
a
You
bit
think I want it
late.
now? Yeah.
Even if it works, it's a bit
Even
late.
if you give it to me, who knows? I still would have got sick. It didn't stop it. It just
Turns
they
out.
say it makes it lesser, but how do they know that?
Right.
How are they going to know it lessens the symptoms? How do they prove that? Because you take it or you don't. There's no guinea pig taking it and not taking it. So they really don't know. They're guessing.
That's
They're
right.
saying that. There's no proof that they say that is true.
Well, and that's Bobby Kennedy's whole
Yeah.
point. Even though they smear him as an anti-vaxxer, all he's been saying for the last 3 years, even before the vaccines rolled out, is, are we testing these?
Right.
Are we doing the proper stringent long-term testing to really see what the adverse
Yeah.
effects might be? And for that, just for that, he got canceled on every social media platform, including
Yeah.
this one. And YouTube might just take this video down because of the conversation we're having.
Oh well.
But he was silenced. He couldn't even speak, and when he did, they smeared him as a anti-vaccine lunatic, a public health menace. That
Yeah.
he was to blame because COVID was spreading like wildfire. And I'm like, well, that's not Kennedy's fault. That's the virus's
Yeah.
fault,
I mean, they kept
and it's the
saying,
fault of the
yeah,
vaccine that
I know.
doesn't stop the virus from transmitting
Right.
from
So why
person to
take it?
person.
I mean, they keep saying follow the science, but they don't say that anymore, do they? Follow
Nope,
the
they sure
science.
don't.
Only follow the science when it suits me, not when it suits you.
Isn't that interesting?
I'm not anti-vaccine. I still take the pneumonia shots. I take all those flu shot. I still take them all.
Do
I
you?
just don't trust this shot. Period.
Just that particular vaccine is
I'm
the one.
anti-COVID vacciner is what I am.
Yeah.
I take everything else, so I don't have a problem. If it's been out there a long time, I don't have a problem with it. But they rushed us through. I didn't trust it. And what really got me, I might have taken it, but when the government started telling me, I almost lost my job because we do government contracts.
Oh,
If they
yeah.
start telling me that I'm going to lose my job if I don't take it,
Mhm.
that's when I don't want to take it because you're going to make me take it. Why are you making me take it?
I did lose a job that way.
Yeah,
One of my
it's
jobs.
stupid.
Yeah.
It sucks. I don't get it.
Vaccine mandate, and
Yeah,
I wasn't going to comply with it, and I couldn't. I physically had a medical exemption, which they denied.
I know.
Um,
Stupid. You couldn't
yeah,
take it. I
I
mean,
could not take
you
it.
could not take it, and
No,
they didn't care.
they didn't care
No.
because it was a California-based company, and you know how woke they are out there in
They are.
California.
I got a lot of friends that are conservatives, but you get to that coast and forget it.
I don't know how Bobby Kennedy manages to live out there. He lives in Los Angeles.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because his wife, Cheryl Hines, the actress from Curb Your Enthusiasm, that's his wife.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
So
that
he
either.
lives out there in Hollywood with all her Hollywood friends. And I don't know how they make that marriage work, Paul.
He's got to have another home to get away to every once in a while. I'm sure he's got
You
a
would
few
think.
homes. I'm sure he doesn't have one home.
She's got to be under so much pressure from her Hollywood friends. And I know she is. Sometimes I look on Cheryl's Twitter and I see her own fans are attacking her. Like, how could you be married to that Kennedy guy, that anti-vax
Yeah,
lunatic?
and that's sad. That's what I'm talking about.
It's sad.
That's sad as hell.
Yep.
That just because you're married to someone that's got different views than you or different views than you, then you're evil. There's something wrong with you, not her.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your head. If you have that much hate in your heart for someone that you don't know, just by an R in the front of their name, then you're a sick person, and there's something definitely wrong with you, for sure.
That brings me to another subject I wanted to talk about tonight before we run out of time, because you just hit on it. The hate that people have in their hearts. Before we brought you on tonight, you probably caught some of the conversation about the we see anti-Semitism on the
Yeah.
rise again.
Yep.
We see
Anti-Asian.
anti-Asian sentiments out there. We see it's not just political hatred of
It's
Republicans
yeah,
and Democrats.
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's race. It's sexuality. We see
Oh
so
God,
much
yeah.
of the upset over the LGBTQ issues and more protests breaking out again
It's crazy.
after that Supreme Court ruling yesterday. So I wanted to talk to you about that and
Okay.
specifically trans issues because
Okay. I'm fine.
you and we met through the Rocky Horror Picture
Which
Show.
had a lot of gay people, a lot of transes. So
Yeah, and it's a
it was
story about a
pretty
sweet
mixed up. Yeah.
transvestite from
Yeah.
transsexual
I mean, I went out there
Transylvania.
and fishnet hosed just like you did.
That's right.
But that was a different time. And back then, the
Yeah.
gay people we had to protect some of them because some of them
Yes.
did get beat up.
That's right.
And so back then, it wasn't a matter of equal. It was just protecting them. They were our
That's right.
friends, and so it wasn't about not just we need to have equal protection. Now it's about we want equal protection, and you have to accept us. You have to, and that's not the way it should be. I accept them. I don't care what you are. What you do in the bedroom, if you want to go have monkey sex with a red pig mask or whatever, that's fine. I don't care. What
But then you'll
consenting
get
adults do.
monkeypox.
Monkeypox. There you go. That's fine. I don't care. And if you're a trans, I don't care. I'm not going to go to bed with you. It doesn't matter to me.
That's right.
But
I love you, just not that way.
yeah, I love you, but that's the wrong end I'm going in. But what gets me, and this is the problem I have, is that they're messing with our kids, young kids. Well, if they're 18, they can make up their own minds, but they're trying to get this stuff in their minds to where they think they might be the wrong sex. It's called a tomboy when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're messing with a kid's heads, and I hate to see what's going to happen with them when they have these operations and they finally figure out, God, I got screwed. I got lied to. I'm a guy or I'm a girl.
Right.
And I just think it's so bad for the society, and it's just such a small part of the population is gay and trans, but yet they want to have more rights, not equal rights, but it seems like, how can I say it? Like it said, you accept me, you have to accept me. No, I don't have to accept. I do, but I don't have to. I don't have to accept your lifestyle. Well, you have to. I don't have to.
There's no law that
No.
says you have to.
I can respect you as a person and I can love you as a person, but it doesn't mean I have to like what you do, because I don't know what you do. I don't care what you do. I just know you as
And
a
don't
person.
tell me. I don't want to
Yeah.
know. I mean, you and I come from that generation where it was kind of don't ask, don't tell. And
Well, that's the way the military
they
was
didn't
till just a few years
advertise
ago,
their
wasn't it?
outness.
I mean, isn't that the way the military was just a few years ago?
Yeah.
And now they got gay parades going on in the Navy. I mean, gay commercials for the Navy.
As a former military man yourself, that's got to be pretty weird.
It's disgusting.
gotta be
It's not
strange.
that I'm against trans, but it's like Bud Light. You're preaching to the wrong people. If you're trans, you're not going to join the Army, Air Force. You're not going to go into the military. So you're speaking to the wrong people. Bud Light, most of their audience isn't trans or gay. They're like bar hopping, rednecks. You learn your audience. That's all I'm saying. Learn your audience. That's it. Just your wokeism is just hurting your business, and I don't know why any company would want to lose business like that. Because if you go woke,
Doesn't make any sense.
no, Budweiser got screwed both ways because they went woke, the right canceled them, and then they were trying to make it up, and the left canceled them because they canceled her. So they're getting canceled by both sides now. How did that work out for you? Just shut the hell up and sell crap. That's all you got to do. It's not that hard.
Just take the money.
That's
Just
all.
shut up and sell
Take
beer.
the
We
money.
just want a beer.
What you do in your company, you can hire all the gay trans people you want, whatever. I don't care. But when your bottom dollar depends on it, that's just really stupid to me. I don't understand it.
So, you're talking about exposure to gay and trans and drag queen story time and all that kind of stuff about like what is the appropriate age. And you said as long as my kids were over 18, I'd be fine with it. But I'm going to push back on that a little bit.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, well,
Go
you've
ahead.
known me
I
since
know
I was
you were
13.
13.
I mean,
I know.
I met you at the Rocky Horror Picture
And
Show.
you were in that.
I was
in
13
that
years
mess.
old. and I was kids mature at different ages. At 13, I was pretty mature for 13.
You were very mature
I was
for
ready
13.
for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I understand that that movie might not be appropriate for
Oh,
other 13-year-olds, and that's why it was rated R.
yeah,
And I wasn't even supposed to be in that movie theater because under 17 wasn't
right.
supposed to be admitted without parents.
They let anybody in back then.
And my
Didn't matter.
mom did not go to the Rocky Horror Picture Show with me, so I would just slip in with one of you guys
Right.
who were a few years older than me, and as long as you were 17, then it was legal for me to be there. And
Yeah.
you guys were, you were a few years older,
Yeah.
and you
I was
protected me.
I was about 4
You
years
looked
older
out
than you.
for
Yeah.
me. And I would bring my high school friends with me to Rocky Horror on Saturday nights. And, we were in the 13 to 16 year range of age. And I don't know any of my friends who were permanently scarred by the experience. It didn't fuck them up.
Right.
They're okay. They're productive members of society today. They don't break any laws. Most of them didn't get a sex change, although one of them did, and that person's still a close friend to this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were, if anything, I think it was good for us at that age.
well,
It made me open-minded so that I wasn't prejudiced towards gay people. It
Right.
made me more accepting of my gay classmates, and
Yeah, I think it
people
made
in
me
my
more
life who were
too.
different. It
But
taught me tolerance.
but at the same time, you knew it was a movie. You
And
knew
I
it
knew it
wasn't
was a
real.
movie, right.
In school, they're teaching these second graders about
That's
it,
too
and
young.
their mind is too young to know what
That's
sexuality
too
is.
young.
I didn't get sex ed till what,
Right.
12 maybe, something like that. I don't remember what age it was, but it wasn't 4. They don't
No.
even know what that is, and I think you're messing with their head real bad, and it messes in the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you do as adults, but what you do to kids makes a big difference, and they're messing with their heads, and that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, you went to a movie, you were 13, but you knew it was a movie. No one was in there talking to you about you need to be trans. This is good.
No, nobody was ever trying to convert me.
Right, exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
didn't try to convert you. It's to have a good time. Now they're trying to
That's
convert
all.
them all,
Right.
and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't really feel like there was grooming going on in the old Rocky Horror Picture
Oh,
Show
definitely
days.
not. It was just fun.
It was just fun.
It was. I want to say clean fun, but it was.
Compared
was-
to today, it seems
oh,
like pretty good, clean fun,
Yeah,
doesn't
for
it?
today it was, but back then it wasn't. But it
In the
was fun.
70s and 80s, that was considered
Yeah.
shocking. And
Yeah.
here in Oklahoma, which
Oh,
is
Lord.
still pretty redneck and cowboy, back then,
Oh.
and even in the 1980s, the gay friends that were at Rocky Horror with me, my teenage friends, were forced to be closeted in their Monday through Friday life, and they
Which
had to act normal. And then on Saturday night, they had an excuse where they could, dress up and sort of be their other self and come out of the closet for a few hours and be among friends who understood
which
and
which
didn't
is
judge them. And then Monday they'd be back in school, all buttoned down and normal again.
which is sad that you just can't be yourself.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, I'm
was.
glad you can be yourself now. If you want to be gay, hey, power to you. Doesn't
Mhm.
bother me. I don't hate you. There's a lot of trans and gay people I still love. That doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me. But it's just the young people. It's just the kids they're messing with, and I don't like that. I really don't.
Yeah. And I think there's a bigger agenda, a political agenda.
I think there is.
And we talk about that a lot on this show,
Yeah.
is that they are politicizing this LGBTQ stuff and trying to make it like its own political party or religion almost.
I think it is become a political party. I wouldn't be surprised if it starts a party. I'm
They
serious.
should. They should just start their own damn rainbow party.
I think they should, and I'd be surprised within the next 5 years they don't. Somebody
I
runs
think
for
they ought
office.
to.
I think
Yeah.
they do too. Just do it. Get
Mhm.
your own party. If you
Hell
can get
yeah.
enough votes, they wouldn't get more than probably 5 or 10% of the vote, maybe. But go for it. Go for it.
Yeah.
Take the votes away from the Democrats. I'm happy with that. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think a lot of Democrats would be fine with that too. I mean,
Yeah.
this whole agenda has gotten so crazy that
It's out
even
of
the
hand.
woke Democrats are not on board with a lot of it.
Yeah, it's
You
out of
know?
hand. It's crazy. I really don't understand it. I don't know their logic.
I
really
don't either. As someone, I guess you'd call me an old fag hag from way back.
Oh, you can't
I
say
was
that.
going to drag shows back in my
Yeah,
teens,
yeah, I was.
and
Yeah.
I turned out okay.
We
So I'm
went to a
not
lot of
saying
drag
it's
shows,
bad. for teenagers. It can actually open your mind, and it's fine to go to drag
I
shows
tell you
once
what,
you're a certain age.
drag
but
shows they're fun.
they
I
are.
was dragged to a lot of
You
drag
were
shows,
dragged to drag shows.
and they're actually. I mean, I'm not gay, obviously, but they're fun.
Yeah,
It's a fun atmosphere,
a lot of fun.
you know. I
It's
mean, I got
wild.
hit on a lot by guys. I'm like, "Nay, no thanks. I don't swing that way, but I appreciate the offer. Thanks for thinking of me. I'm glad you thought me attractive to do that." I got a lot of drinks bought for me, which it was cool. I'm like, "Buy me some drinks. I'm not
Well,
going
you
home with
did
you, but
look
I'll drink it."
smashing in a dress, Paul. I've
Yeah, I
seen you in
did.
a dress.
Shh, that was supposed to be for Halloween. So,
It's a true
yeah, I
story,
mean,
folks.
it's shh. Lori, you're killing me.
I'm sorry, buddy.
No, I think anybody. I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm proud of it. So if you don't like it,
Yeah.
you don't have to be my friend. I don't care.
Hey, that's
Doesn't
what I
bother me.
love about you. You're just you.
Yeah,
You're
I'll
just
tell you my
honest.
views. I'll be honest with you. If you don't like it, then get the hell out of here. I don't want to be around you anyway. If you can't accept me for me, I'm not, and that's it. Then get the hell out. You
And
know what
you've
I'm saying?
always accepted other people just as they are without judgment.
I'll accept anybody. I mean, I don't care what your color, your religion. I don't mean shit to me. You know, your sexual orientation
Or your politics.
or your politics doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's easy to hate somebody you don't know.
that's it.
It's easy to flip somebody off when you're driving your car, but you wouldn't do it if you were walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. It's easy to hate someone you do not know because they're the villain. You're right. They're wrong. They're evil. They're the villain. So it's
And
really easy to
it
do.
it is true, and even in, say, foreign affairs, foreign relations, like I often push Bobby Kennedy and our other political candidates, all of them,
Yeah.
to sit down and talk to Putin, which
Yeah.
is the one thing that none of them will do.
Which,
They all talk tough about Putin. He's a monster. He's a bully.
Yeah.
He's a thug, and they will not talk to Putin, because I guarantee you, if they sat down in the same room together,
they might come to some conclusion.
they might even like each other.
Yeah, I agree. And I believe Trump would talk to Putin. He'd be like, "Hey, we need to talk." I think he would threaten like he did North Korea first. If you do this, we're gonna bomb you, blah blah blah. We're gonna bomb you into nothing. Kind of like North Korea does to us. But I think he would talk to him, and I think they would probably settle it out. I really do.
Yeah, he better not be too belligerent, because Russia has
Yeah.
more nuclear weapons than we do.
They do, but I
And
mean, how
things
many?
are a little tense right now.
But how many nukes do you need to wipe out the world? I mean,
That's
they can
right.
have twice as many. It doesn't make any difference.
Doesn't matter.
We can do ours, and it'll wipe the whole Russian nation out. They could do the same for us. So
Yeah.
a number of nukes doesn't make a lot of difference at this point. So
We do have to talk to each other. We have to talk
we have to definitely.
we have to talk to China. We have to talk to Russia. We have to, under the Biden administration, especially, we've just become so arrogant. Like
I
we
know.
seem to have the right to dictate every other country on Earth's affairs to them.
Yep.
And that's why the rest of the world hates us. And that's why BRICS keeps growing and growing. And more countries want to join BRICS. They're running out of letters to make BRICS. How can they include all these countries and still call it BRICS? That's how many have had enough of the United States, and it seems
Yeah.
like that's the only way for us to heal our broken reputation on the world stage. And
Yeah.
and that is true right here at home in our presidential politics and our race coming up next
Yeah.
year. I don't want to see another election cycle where the Democrats and the MAGA people are at each other's throats,
Yeah.
and
it's
fighting
terrible.
in the streets like we saw in 2016, and then we saw that again in 2020. It could
Yeah.
get much uglier this time.
I mean, it could literally be a civil war, and
We're
I
this
wouldn't
close.
surprise. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if it happened. I don't know whose side you'd be
Yeah.
on. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, if you live in Oklahoma, you're going to be south, north. You're going to be red, left, right. I don't know how they would have a civil war, but I think there's going to be an internal civil war somehow, and it's going to put this country all to hell.
And I think that sometimes I really, truly believe, Paul, that that's what the Biden administration wants, that they're trying to provoke us, like that dark Brandon speech, right, that Biden gave, with the blood red
Oh
background
God,
and the
that was.
Marines, and
I don't want to say
where he
evil, but that was
demonized
evil.
MAGA
Yes.
and called you guys domestic terrorists.
Yeah. See, that kind of crap is ridiculous.
And then you go raid Trump's house and
Yeah.
try to
And
prosecute this man. And,
uh,
the MAGA forces have been remarkably hands off about this because everyone's been predicting that
They
there
would
would be
start
riots in the
more riots,
streets.
right?
And the only reason that hasn't happened is January 6th, right?
Yeah, we're like, we're not going to do that crap again. We learned our
Yes.
lesson.
There was a chilling effect
Yeah,
because of all the
it's like,
people
yeah,
that
we're
went to
not going to do that.
prison.
But,
And that's what dictators do, right?
Yeah.
They use that kind of power,
They
and
do.
they locked up all those people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th to make an example out of them.
And they use the media. I mean,
Mhm.
think about it. They use the media. They try to take your guns.
Yep.
All that. I mean, Biden's not a dictator. I don't know what you would call one. And the funny thing is, the crap that Trump did, which was nothing, he got accused of blackmail or bribing that guy. Biden bragged about it. He said, "Yeah, I told him if he didn't give me the money, I'm going to come over and get him fired." He
And
bragged
son
about
of a
it.
bitch, he got fired.
Yeah, and guess
What
what?
do you
They're
know?
not doing nothing to him. Trump
That's right.
didn't do anything. He got crucified. Now you got Biden's family taking millions of dollars from China, and they can prove it. They've got proof. Do you ever hear it from the media? Fox News, Newsmax, anywhere else? No, you don't hear it. They're not going to
Right.
report it. And I don't. Do your damn job. Do the news. I'm tired of the news being one way or another. Honestly, sometimes I get tired of Newsmax and Fox News because they are so right. Yeah, I want it to be right, but I want it to be a little bit fair. And
Yeah.
usually when they have a panel of 5 people, they got the one person like a Democrat who's a moron who looks stupid anyway, so they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep. Poor
but
Geraldo.
yeah, right.
Geraldo, he's always
Yeah,
the one who gets picked on
he
every
does.
Fox News panel.
And funny thing, Geraldo's kind of a centrist. He's not even that left.
Yeah, he's
But
not even that far to the
right.
left, but
So,
yeah,
but yeah,
but he's their token Democrat and
he is.
punching bag
Gotta
on
have one.
Fox
Gotta have a token
News.
Democrat in all the news channels.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that. Let me ask you this: do you
Mhm.
think that Trump is too divisive for these times?
I think
As
the reason
divided as we are on the brink of a civil war, do you think that Trump has it in him to unite the country? Because I know that's what he always wanted to do, but
no,
it just seemed like
there's
it
no way.
just didn't work.
Well, and to this day, I have no idea why the Dems hate him so bad. I don't get it. I honestly,
I really
someone
don't
explain that.
either.
Someone, does anyone know? Someone explain that to me. Why do you guys hate him so bad? You want to ruin his life and put him in prison. I don't get it. Explain it to me. He wasn't LGBT. He wasn't against that. He was against gay marriage, but he had gay flags behind him at the podium a few times when he did some speeches. He wasn't anti-LGBTQ plus whatever it is. He was just anti-gay marriage, which Obama was against that at first too. So was Biden 20, 30 years ago. It's just that the political winds changed for them, so they changed courses. I'll say one thing about Trump: he's still got his convictions. He's not going to change for anybody, unlike Biden and Obama and all the rest who does change because the politics change. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, he may have his convictions of other kinds, like the criminal kinds, before we're all
Yeah.
said and done.
Yeah, my friend Mitch, I live on an
I've
airport.
known Mitch for
Okay.
some 40 years too.
I live on an airport. It's an air park, and the major airport, Will Rogers, Oklahoma City, is literally about 2 miles from us north. And so those planes have to fly over my house, and on my house is the word Trump in bright red paint, 8
Yes.
feet high, maybe 16 feet long. So everybody has to look at that when they fly in.
It's literally on Google Maps, folks.
It is. It is on
You
Google
can
Maps.
see the Trump roof
Yeah.
from the sky. In fact,
Yeah.
there's a picture, and I can't seem to find it. You sent it to me a couple of weeks ago, and I
Oh yeah,
can't
it's on
seem to
there.
find
And
the
I
picture,
got a
but
Trump tattoo, so I'm dedicated.
Can you show us your Trump tattoo?
Oh, I'll
Paul?
try. Can you see that?
Check it out, folks.
Oh, there we go.
Now that is a Trump fan right there. Check that out.
So the guy that did it was definitely not a fan, but he did it. He did a good job. So
That's trusting somebody a lot. If they don't
Right.
like Trump and you're like, hey, could you give me a Trump tattoo?
right, he's like, yeah, I'll give it to you. All right.
I sure will. But I think maybe it's just an Oklahoma thing. Maybe it's a heartland thing that we don't see as much division. We don't have
We don't
like the
have
big
that.
cities up north. They're out in the streets fighting with each other left and right, bang, bang, bang. Every Saturday, they're having riots in the streets and fighting each other. here in a place like Oklahoma, maybe it's just because we're so solidly red,
Right.
and that Democrats are a
They're the
minority
quiet. They're the
here.
quiet majority. They don't
They're
really
the
say a
silent
whole
ones.
lot. They don't say a whole
Yeah.
lot
You just don't
because
see that kind
90%
of
of their
crap here.
family and friends are Republicans. So they kind of keep quiet about it.
And
I
that's
mean,
just it. Maybe that's why we get along better, because we've got so many of our own family members who
yeah.
are Republicans.
And we respect the Democrats. Usually, I don't really see any problems with that, and they respect us.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good state to live in for politics. Now, I understand that we're like, what's wrong with California? What are they thinking?
Mm.
Because we don't live there. But in California, they're probably thinking, Oklahoma, what are they thinking? What are they doing? They should think like us, and they probably
That's
think
right.
the actors and actresses probably think the rest of the country thinks like them. I honestly believe that.
They do.
They
They live
never
in
get
their
out
own
of their
little
little
bubble.
bubble, right?
Mhm.
And I believe those people over are thinking they're right, and everybody should be like them because they're right and everybody's wrong. And
And remember how hysterical that was really made clear during the pandemic. Like, Oklahoma was the second state in the United States to open up for business again. I
right,
think
and people
Georgia
were,
was
yeah,
first, and then we were second. We opened up at the end of May
yeah,
2020 and just went back to work and
people were
opened all the stores
freaking
back
out.
up. And
People are gonna
yeah,
die, and guess what? No more people. No
and
more people
remember who
died
was
than
most
before.
hysterical? California.
Yeah,
They kept California locked down for another
I'm
year, and they were
surprised they.
screaming, "How can those crazy Oklahomans
Yeah,
just go out in public and stuff? How can they go to the store? Why aren't they wearing masks?" I mean, the whole country
I
was
know.
aghast
You know,
at what
ironically,
we were doing here.
I know they're like, what are they doing? Everybody's gonna die. You don't care about other people. But
Right,
the funny thing is, the
right.
VA had a
Mhm,
mask mandate until like maybe a month ago.
mhm.
It's insane. Why are we still wearing masks 3
Because
years later?
Joe Biden, the federal government,
And they
you
finally
know,
shut it down, and I was like, "Oh my god, thank you."
all federal facilities had
Yeah,
those
it's
mandates.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous.
That's true.
And I
That's true.
guarantee you the mask I had in my pocket for 3 years, didn't wash it, I guarantee you that wasn't gonna keep me safe. That wasn't gonna keep me safe,
Definitely
you
not.
know? It wasn't a mask, it was just a piece of cloth, but that's all you needed, just a piece of cloth. It doesn't matter that it won't help, it just matters that you have one on, right?
Well, and I don't think you were ever a big masking guy anyway,
No, I
but,
didn't wear it.
you know,
I did at the VA because I had to. Other than
you
that,
didn't have a choice. They
I
make
didn't
you
wear it.
do it.
Yeah, you had to, or it's like you can't come in.
That's
Well, I
right.
need my medical help, so I have to. But other than that, no,
Right.
I didn't usually wear it.
And as it turns out, it really didn't matter. But the
It
way
didn't.
that you got COVID, or at least we think you got it, and I want to tell people, if you don't mind,
No,
because it
go
it
ahead.
tells people a lot about who you are, the kind of person you are. You volunteer regularly at a local homeless shelter, and
Yeah, it was actually I think it was the Salvation Army, but yeah, I did some
yeah,
volunteering there, and that's where I caught it.
and that's where you caught it, of course.
And I guess I didn't learn my lesson, I still do it, but you know,
See, that's
um,
just it. You went right back to volunteering as soon
yeah.
as you were able. And folks, that says a lot about the kind of person my friend Paul Davies
You're
is.
so sweet. You are an awesome person too. Trust me.
Thank you,
Even though
honey.
you're a Democrat, that screwed up our election last time.
I'm not
Voting,
that kind of Democrat. I didn't
vo-
vote for that guy.
voting libertarian, you killed us. You killed us, Lori. I'm telling you, you killed us.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, the
Well,
thought didn't even cross my mind
because I was looking at the
at the
election
time.
results after the fact, and I added up each state that was close. He would have won all the close states. He would have won most all of them. If you took the
Yeah.
libertarians and made him Republican, he would have won. Because it
When you
was
do the
such a
math,
thin
that's
margin.
actually correct.
So
That
I was
is
like, damn,
true.
them libertarians killed us. They killed us. They got Joe Biden in office.
Well,
So I'm still
after
not over that.
27 years of being a libertarian, we get that every election cycle. We
Yeah.
always get blamed for
Well,
whoever Republican or Democrat wins. They always blame us independent and third
well,
party voters and say, it's your fault.
that's
You
why
know,
the
it's your
Democrats
fault.
hated Ralph Nader.
That's exactly
Same
it.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ralph Nader didn't make a dent. So, but
And
yeah,
they're already saying that about Robert
yeah.
Kennedy.
I love
They're
you,
saying
Lori. But if you do that again, we might have to have a discussion.
Then we have the cage match,
then
brother.
we're gonna have to fight it out. Two COVID, long COVID people. Yeah, how's that gonna work
That
out?
won't be much of a match,
No,
will
it'd
it?
be
We'll
like
both be winded in
we
2 minutes.
get out of the corner like, okay, tie. We're done.
We'll be gasping for air.
We
Like,
will be.
I'm dying.
I
I'm
should have
dying.
had better lighting. You can't really see my face, which I don't
It's
know.
starting to
That
get dark too.
might
Well,
be a
we're
good
just
thing.
about out of time.
Yeah,
This was a very quick hour and a half,
it
but
went
time
quick.
always
I mean,
flies when I'm with you, my
I'm
friend.
gonna say when you're talking to someone that you're friend and you've loved for so many years, and it goes quick.
It does. I love you, my brother. Thank
I love
you
you
for
too.
coming on the show.
It
And
was my
yeah,
pleasure. I loved it.
and I hope that you guys enjoyed getting to know Paul Davies. See, not all MAGA people are bad
No,
Democrats.
not
If there's
all
any
of them.
Democrats out there watching, how can you hate a guy like this? He's
Well,
he's
this
one
doesn't
awesome
help.
human being, you know?
Well, I appreciate that.
And I wish your guy, Trump, all the best in the election. You know, I'm not supporting him, but
Well,
I still say he's better than Biden. And if he wins, I won't be heartbroken.
I will say
And I'll support
this.
him.
If Trump doesn't get it, then I hope your guy wins it. I'm going to say that.
Deal.
There's no other Republicans I really like. DeSantis ain't ready for prime time.
Oh, no. No.
So if Trump doesn't get it, then I kind of hope your guy gets it. I really do. And I'm
Then we
sorry, I'm
both
not
be
arguing with you enough. Sorry.
happy.
What's wrong with you
Even
voting for
better,
Kennedy
I want to see your guy and my guy
on the
team
same
up.
ticket? I don't care which is which, but that would be awesome.
That'd be
That would be
totally
a
awesome.
for sure win for
And then we
everybody.
wouldn't fight at all.
No.
Then we'd both be happy.
And the Republicans are like, oh, we have to keep Trump healthy. And the Democrats, we need to get rid of Trump. So it'd be fun though. It would be a fun ride. I think it would be something new. It'd be interesting to see what happens, and I think that would be a really fun ride to watch.
Wouldn't it though?
It
That'd
would
be the
be
most
very
exciting election of our lifetimes, I think.
probably the most exciting 4 years of any politics that I've ever seen. I think it would be a lot of fun.
And imagine the changes that we could make, the things we could get done if we had a unity ticket where Republicans and Democrats in Congress followed the president and vice president's lead and found real bipartisan cooperation, which is what usually kills any
Yep.
good bills that we try to get passed, this partisanship.
Yep.
Imagine how that would affect our Congress too.
Imagine if they could actually stop voting party line and vote what's right
Imagine.
for their constituents, not themselves.
That's right.
So I don't
And
know.
I know you and I both want what's best for America, what's best
do.
for the country.
I'm a nationalist. I'm Trump nationalist. I agree with him on that. And
Mhm.
America's got to come first, but you don't treat your other enemy. You don't keep your other countries like crap. You still got to have respect for them.
And when Kennedy, he's an America first kind
Yeah,
of Democrat.
I know that. That's why I like him.
Yeah. And I think that's why Trump would like him. And I know Trump's voters like him.
I
And
think so.
a lot of Kennedy's voters really like Trump. They're not the kind of Democrats that hate Donald Trump,
Right.
that suffer with Trump derangement
They just
syndrome.
might not like him, but his personality is bullish and he's arrogant. But then again, what president is arrogant? You have to be arrogant to want to be president in the first place. Period.
True. You got to be pretty
have to
crazy and
be
pretty full of
big-headed.
yourself.
You have to be pretty big headed to want to be the leader of the free world. I don't
That's
care who
right.
you are.
That's
So,
right.
but sometimes you need a bully in the White House to get things done. A pacifist just don't do it.
Yeah, and Bobby's sometimes a little too nice for his own
Yeah.
good,
But he can
he's a
he
fighter.
can get out there. He can be fiery. I've seen him fiery before.
I mean, he is the son of Robert Kennedy, and
Yeah.
Robert Kennedy, everyone who knew him said he was ruthless. That was
Yeah.
the word that they used to describe.
Yeah.
He was small, he's kind of
Well,
a small guy, but
and
he was
he-
ruthless.
I mean, he went after the mafia, didn't he?
He was taking on
you
Jimmy
have-
Hoffa.
You have to be
and
pretty tough to take off
Sammy
the
and
mafia.
Ghana.
The mafia, you got to be.
That's right.
You got to have some kahunas on you.
Big old balls.
Big old balls.
Big
So,
old
yeah,
balls.
he did have them.
Well, I think that would be like the big balls ticket to end all big balls.
It would be. It would be the balls party. I think changing name.
Well, if they go independent or start their own party,
The
Trump and
balls
Kennedy,
party. There you go.
let's call it the balls party.
The balls party. I think that's a good idea.
Love it.
I think that's a real good idea.
Oh, Paul, this has been great, man. Thank you
Yes.
for coming on Strange Bedfellows tonight, and I will see you
Well, soon.
off camera very
Okay.
soon in real life. And thank you guys for watching tonight. I hope this was fun for you, no matter which candidate you support, no matter which party you're in, no matter whose side you're on. We're all on the same side.
We are all
when it
Americans.
comes right down to
and
it.
we need to
are.
worry about this country first.
That's right. And our
100%.
Canadian friends up there.
And I've got a Canadian
know?
friends that I love to death. So I got family in Canada still. So I love them, and we got to take care of them too. Because
Yeah, and
ain't
whoever,
nobody
if
else
we have
going
a
to.
good president, it's good for Canada too.
Yeah,
If
'cause
we have
ain't
a
nobody else
bad
gonna-
president,
yeah.
it's bad for Canada.
Yeah,
So
because ain't nobody else going to look after them but us. I mean, really, they're not a superpower. Let's face it. I'm sure they can protect themselves, but not against China or Russia and stuff like that. But
no, they have no military
No,
left,
they-
and what
they
little
really
they've
don't.
got, they're sending all their shit to Ukraine right now.
right, so got to protect our friends too.
That's
Taiwan,
right. We all
Canada.
share this continent together.
Got to take care of our friends. Japan, Taiwan, Canada, all of them.
Hell yeah.
So
Hell
yeah,
yeah. You know, we are
We-
all brothers and sisters on this big planet, and
we are.
that's
And
why I
just-
feel like this show is actually something important. It may not reach a huge audience. It's not going to be the most popular show ever. But I think there are so many people out there, I dare say a majority, who are tired of the constant fighting and the bickering and the
I'd say it's-
partisanship. And
Yeah, I'd say it's probably more like 75% of the people are probably really tired of it.
absolutely.
I am so freaking tired of it.
Yeah.
I am so tired of it. You know,
It's time for us to work together,
Do
even when we
something.
disagree on,
agree to
policy.
disagree, but be kind about it.
Just
You don't
be
have to
kind.
be. You don't have to be nasty. You don't have to be vicious. And that goes for Trump too. I'm not saying he can be like that. I'm saying be nice. You don't have to be vicious to get your point across. You don't have to put someone down to make yourself look better. And just be nicer to each other. That's all you got to do. It's not that hard to fucking do.
That's
know?
right.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say about it.
Well, I think you just said it all. That was beautiful, actually,
Thank
Paul.
you. Appreciate that.
You said that better than I could.
And I didn't even write it down. I don't imagine.
Keep that.
Okay. I
File
will.
that away for another
I will.
day.
I've already lost it. I forgot it already. Sorry.
I've enjoyed this so much, and
Yeah.
we should do this more often.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again. That'd be fun.
You come in and join us here on the show
I'd love
any
that.
old time.
I would love that. Anytime you want me.
We would love to have you, and I will see you again very, very soon.
You will.
Thanks,
very soon.
everybody, for watching Strange Bedfellows.
In a universe full of ideas, we draw lightness from the dark to a place where opposites attract. Right meets left, positive touches negative, sparking an explosion of truth. Because politics makes Strange Bedfellows.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.